In this episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, I am going to share with you some core essential beliefs that you may want to adopt if you are to succeed in entrepreneurship. Whether you're full-time self-employed or just launching a business on the side, these beliefs are going to help you get further faster.
Are you ready to take your message, your business, and your life to the next level?
Want to learn from someone with more than a decade of experience, training tens of thousands of people from all around the world?
Hi, Cliff. This is Pauline from Auckland, New Zealand.
John from Calgary, Alberta.
Amy Porterfield.
Michael Hyatt.
Dan here from Dunedin, New Zealand.
Ray Edwards. Mark Mason. Mike Stelzner.
Pat from Smart Passive Income.
It's Darren from Melbourne, Australia.
Now is the time to live the life of your dreams and do the work you feel most called to do in the world.
Welcome to the Cliff Ravenscraft Show.
Here's your host, Cliff Ravenscraft.
Welcome back, my friend. I am so excited that you have decided to tune in to this packed full episode. Now, I did not do the same level of preparation for this episode that I might otherwise do for, let's just say, a workshop, or that I've gone into on some previous episodes of the show. But what I do have in front of me are a list of core essential beliefs that if you already fully believe each of these beliefs at a 10 out of 10 level, there's like, yeah, every single bit of me seems to resonate. I find full alignment with that statement. If that's the case, and you do that for, let's just say, all 19 of the beliefs that I'm going to share in this episode, then you are well on your way to amazing success in your entrepreneurial journey. If you have been on an entrepreneurial journey for any extended period of time and you have not seen the progress that you thought you should have seen by this point in your journey, then my guess is that you may find that some of the statements that I'm going to share, these beliefs, these core essential beliefs, there might be some of these that could indicate where you might be getting hung up. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that there could be the potential that your challenges in your business pursuits might be related to strategy, knowing what actions to take, knowing how to do certain things. And there certainly is something to be said for going out and researching and finding the right strategy, the right plan, the right method. Although I don't like the word "the right," I would actually rephrase that in my own mind right now. There's something to be said about finding a plan, a strategy, or a method that has worked for others for you to attempt to learn to see if it might work for you. Notice how I changed it from the right strategy, the right plan, the right method, the right formula. I don't believe there is the right. There is just strategies, formulas, frameworks, methods, plans. And just because they work for someone else doesn't necessarily mean that they'll work for you. However, to succeed in business, there needs to be a method, a plan, a strategy. And it could happen by accident, although if you are a little bit more intentional about it, I think that's helpful. It gets you further faster. But what I'm getting at here is that I've worked with thousands of people who are out there attempting to find profit in their online businesses and struggling. And their excuse for their struggle is, I signed up for the wrong coaching program. I signed up for the wrong teacher who's teaching this framework. I went all in on this strategy and it didn't work. And if it was just one, or if it were just two techniques or two strategies, two different teachers, but when it starts to be 5, 6, 7 things, and you've been doing this for 3 to 5 years or more, and you're still struggling to get to that recurring revenue that not only makes ends meet, but kind of gives you a little bit of margin and buffer in life. If that's the case, and there are so many, and this I've heard this so many times, Cliff, if you only knew the number of different coaching programs under the different teachers and coaches and gurus that I've invested in over the last 5 to 10 years, and none of them have worked, then what that indicates is that it may run into this scenario where success in any area of life, but certainly in business, is 20% knowing what to do, and it's 80% mindset. Success in any area of life. Now, by the way, is it 20%, 80%? Well, there's a lot to be said about the 80-20 rule, and it's not a direct correlation here to that. But what I will say is that a majority of success is mindset. And you can take practically any strategy, any framework, any formula, and if there's some resonance with that formula, that framework, that strategy, that technique, that business model, if you have the right mindset, you can make almost anything work. Now, that's notice the word almost, but here's what I'm getting at. If you have tried multiple things and nothing is working, and it's been years, then chances are there's some beliefs that you have. There are some perceptions that you have about how things are in the world, about your own worthiness, about your own experience and skills and talents and abilities. There are beliefs that may be holding you back from finding success in business. So one of the things that I was confronted with recently, I came across a list of 19 core essential beliefs for entrepreneurship. And then what I did is I grouped these in several little groups, and I decided I would just come here to the Cliff Ravenscraft Show and share with you randomly my thoughts off the top of my head. All I have in front of me is a list of these core beliefs as statements, and anything I share other than reading these statements to you is all coming straight from my heart as I'm recording this episode. None of this has been outlined or prepared ahead of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump straight into these beliefs and see, as I go through these, where are you when it comes to your resonance with these? Are you tuned in, and does this just like, man, I am in full alignment with that? So let's start with the first belief. I believe in my ability to succeed as an entrepreneur. Try saying that to yourself, even mentally, if you don't want to say it out loud. I believe in my ability to succeed as an entrepreneur. Now, when I left my career as an insurance agent in 2007 to become full-time self-employed, if I were asked, do I believe in my ability to succeed as an entrepreneur, I would say that if I had to guess, I would probably rate myself back then at a 7 out of 10. And for me, I would have rated myself as a 7 out of 10 because as I was building my business on the side it was 18 months before I put my 90-day notice in, but I did it for 2 years on the side, this online content creation, and then also selling products and services, coaching, and other streams of income from online pursuits. I had about 2 years of experience, and I recognized that I was making somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000 a month just in my spare time. And when I say spare time, I'm talking 15 to 20 hours a week minimum. And that was on top of my 50 to 60 hours a week in the day job. Now, eventually, I began to see my day job as a distraction, and I peeled back just to the required 40 hours a week at the day job, but I was still doing 15 to 20 hours a week minimum, and sometimes 20 to 30 hours a week on the side. But here's the situation. My day job was getting my highest productivity hours, my most efficient hours, my most clarity in my working, that those first few hours of the day, lots of willpower, lots of strength. My day job was getting the best of what I had to offer. And my thinking was, gosh, if I can make $3,000 to $5,000 a month with just the spare time outside of the day job and doing it exhausted, wore out, tired, but still drawn to it and finding so much love and passion for it that I'd be willing to stay up until 2:00 in the morning and do it all again the next day after the day job, then gosh, if I can make $3,000 to $5,000, if I were to get rid of the day job and I could put Monday through Friday 9 to 5 and do this, what could I do then? And so in my mind, I was like a 7 out of 10. And the only reason I was a 7 out of 10 was that, well, I've never tried to make it as an entrepreneur before. This is new to me. So I suppose I don't know what I don't know. And quite frankly, back then, I was not, in January 2008 is when I became full-time self-employed. And in my first year in business, I was not very emotionally intelligent. I didn't even know the phrase emotional intelligence back then. I didn't know anything about the possibility or even potential of me controlling my emotional state. When it comes to personal and professional growth, I had a lot of that in certain areas of my life. Some of that was in study of faith-related things as a minister at the time. It was public speaking and communication. It was in coaching and encouraging and helping others. There was technology things that I had as skills and growth, and a lot of it was on the technical side of selling and sales and marketing. These are all things that I had going for me, but there was a lot of internal work, if we will. I didn't know much about beliefs and how important they were. I just had some very limited ways of perceiving what beliefs even are. If you were to ask me back then, what is a belief? I would say a belief is something that is truth. It is an undisputable fact that you know for certain is true and that you live your life by. That's what a belief is. That's exactly how I used to think of a belief. It wasn't until 2015 when I first was encountered with a different way of thinking about what a belief is. And it was the first time I heard somebody say, a belief is nothing more than a thought that you feel certain is true, that it doesn't necessarily make it a fact. And most beliefs that you have, you didn't intentionally evaluate it. You didn't criticize it. You didn't go through and evaluate it for its truth to see, is there evidence to support or to against this? But instead, most of our beliefs, we just heard them from people that we trusted and we adopted them. And then our subconscious mind says, got it, this is who you believe, this is a part of your identity. And our subconscious mind will do anything and everything within its power to make sure that we live our lives and experience our lives in alignment with what we believe to be true about ourselves and about the world around us. And what I've since discovered through psychology is that our brain is constantly bringing in an unbelievable amount of data at all times through all of our five senses, and maybe even through our intuition and so many other things. There's so much data coming in. And what our brain is designed to do is to make our lives so that we can actually process what's coming in and make decisions and experience what it is that we choose to experience in this world. And so because of that, the brain is constantly taking this large stream, this large bandwidth of data, and it deletes, generalizes, or distorts what incoming data comes in so that you're not overwhelmed by it all. And so when we have a firm belief that something is true, if data comes in that conflicts with that belief, our brain is designed to distort that, delete it, or to generalize it away, and it does not impact our identity. Now, again, if I were to go back to 2008, I did not know any of this stuff back then. So my first year as a business owner, full-time self-employed, it was a struggle bus. It was an emotional roller coaster for me. And there were times where I believe in my ability to succeed as an entrepreneur. There were times when I just felt in full faith that I was a 10 out of 10 on that. And there were some times when things would happen. I'd make a mistake. There were things that I didn't know that I didn't know. And it just like seems like there's just no hope. And I would drop down to a 3 on my belief that I have the ability to succeed as an entrepreneur. Now, thankfully, at the time, I was wise enough to surround myself with others who held that belief to be true at a 10 out of 10 all the time, such that when I struggled with that belief and I went to those individuals, they were able to help me come into alignment with the fact that I do have the ability. I can do this. Now, today, where am I? On the scale of 1 to 10, I have the ability to succeed as an entrepreneur. I'm a 10 out of 10. I know that I can do that. I've been doing it for 18 years. And a lot of that confidence comes over time. But in the early stages of this, if you're in the earlier stages of this, it might help you to surround yourself with a number of people and spend the most of your time with those people who absolutely see within you something that you may struggle to see inside of yourself on an ongoing, consistent basis. And as you do that and you make it through the challenges that come along the way, then you will find yourself finding even greater and greater alignment and resonance with the belief that I believe in my ability to succeed as an entrepreneur. Where this is coming up for me as a coach, I recently, at the beginning of 2024, the first few months, I worked with dozens of online business owners who had invested significant amounts of money in different coaching programs, and they called this and working with gurus who taught them a business plan, only to find one failure after another failure after another failure. And when it came my time to talk to them, they came to me deflated, defeated. And the phrases that I would hear, I just don't know that I have what it takes to be an entrepreneur. I just don't know if it's meant for me. I don't know that I can do that. If that is where you are on a belief level, then when it comes to this, then chances are you're not going to stick through all of the challenges. You're not going to make it through because there's not this hope on the other side that you're going to get through and there is success. So one core essential belief for you to succeed as an entrepreneur, you must believe in your ability to succeed as an entrepreneur, that you have what it takes. And that if you don't currently have what it takes, that other people can help carry you, give you that motivational push from time to time to encourage you to stay in the game, to get back up each time you're knocked down and say, you've got this. I've been there. We've all gone through these things. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. Ultimately, their enthusiasm for your ability will begin to rub off on you. That's the first core belief that I wanted to share with you. Now, the second core belief that's on this list, and it's kind of It's kind of associated in a way to the first one, and that is, I trust that financial success will follow my passion and dedication. I trust that financial success will follow my passion and dedication. Now, this is a belief that I definitely had even in that first year of business. There were times when it was incredibly challenging. There were times when I'm like, what? I made mistakes and setbacks and all of this other stuff. But if you were to ask me in that first year, where would I rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10? I trust that financial success will follow my passion and dedication. I would say probably I was a 10 out of 10 on that one, and have been ever since. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting to you for a moment that throughout this entire journey, I have not experienced any anxiety, fear, or worry about money. That has occurred. It occurred an incredibly large amount of time in the first year of my business. It happened very frequently in the first several years of my business. And even now, almost 2 decades in, I'm not completely immune to this. There are certain things that can come up. There can be big financial setbacks. There could be unexpected, inconvenient, undesirable circumstances that may cause me for just a little bit to become hyper-focused on a problem rather than hyper-focused on the potential for growth and gain and learning and new direction and innovation that comes along with the solution to whatever problem has just come up. And if I stay focused on the problem for too long, and I begin to create all sort of catastrophes in my mind about what this problem means, if I linger there for too long, anxiety, fear, worry, doubt, and lack of confidence all follow. However, I've always been someone who leans towards a vision and of the future and a faith and a hope. And for me, that has been in God. And so for me, there's always been this. I do have this deep down belief that financial success will follow my passion and dedication. Now, caveat is, how far down the road will it follow? Because, are we talking financial success will follow hours behind my passion and dedication? Is it days behind? Will it follow weeks behind, months behind, or decades behind, or whatever? Am I going to see it? When am I going to see it? There's been a little bit of wibbly wobbly feelings and emotions when it comes to the length of time that I might see that financial success. But what has never wavered for me is my trust that financial success will follow my passion and dedication, provided I'm willing to stay persistent. So now, that's the second belief. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you when it comes to your trust that financial success will follow your passion and dedication? Now, when it comes to people that I coach, here's one of the things that I see that is a significant issue. Some people are looking for financial success in online business that is completely unaligned with their passions and interests. And as a result of that, they're quick to give up when obstacles or challenges or roadblocks come along their path. The dedication isn't there because the connection to it isn't at such a heart level that they feel so connected, so compelled by this inner vision of what they feel, whether they feel it's their calling or it's their vision, it's what they're devoted to. So that is a struggle for some people. Some people struggle with this trust that financial success will follow their passion and dedication, because most people that I've seen are struggling to find dedication to the path because they haven't actually found something that's according to their passion. Again, I see this with a lot of people who are listening to podcasts, going to conferences, tuning into free webinars, and saying, "Oh, well, I see the potential for a financial gain on real estate investing." Or I see the potential gain on becoming a day trader in the stock market. Oh, I see the potential gain of becoming a coach. Hey, I see the potential gain of being fill in the blank, whatever the business or field or niche is of business. There is something to be said about finding something that lights you up on the inside as well. And I believe that brings about some level of additional faith and trust if there's some sort of alignment with the inner part of you that feels a sense of call and magnetic draw. All right, the third belief, different category of beliefs now. I am confident in my unique skills and talents. Now, if there's any one area that I've seen people struggle, is that I just don't know that I have what it takes. I don't know, why would anybody hire me? I mean, why would anybody pay me this much? I just don't know. I mean, there's so many people who have so much more experience. So many people have more credibility than I do. And people go on and on and on with these statements. And what they are telling me every single time is I am not confident in my unique skills and talents. Now, anything that you tell me, Cliff, I'm not good enough, I'm not credible, I don't have the experience, I don't have this, I'm not confident in my unique skills and talents, anything that you tell me as statements is an affirmation of what you believe to be true. Now, your subconscious mind, the programming code of your life, the operating system of how you operate in this world, your identity, your subconscious mind is hearing you state those beliefs with such conviction, with such congruency that it says, got it, I hear you. I've made a log that you do not have credibility. I've made a log that nobody really wants to hear from you. I made a log that you're not worthy of higher prices. I've made a log of the fact that people would much rather get that from somebody else other than you. Because you believe those things, and you are an honest person and don't want to be lying to Cliff and others when you say these things, I will make sure that if any evidence to the contrary of those, I will make sure that we delete, distort, or generalize it all away. And we will only allow into the storehouse of memory and feeling and experience, I will only let in the data that supports what you just said to Cliff about your lack of credibility, about your lack of experience, about the lack of people willing to pay you, that there's nobody in your community that will pay that much. All right, so do you see where this is starting to come through? Is this starting to hit a little bit home and a little bit deep for you? Where are you right now on a scale of 1 to 10? I am confident in my unique skills and talents. Now, I have plans at some point in the future to redo an episode of my podcast that I did many years ago, but I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to tell you, episode number 539 of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show was titled, How Confident Are You in the Value You Offer? That was back in March of 2018. That podcast episode is 90 minutes in length, and if you are struggling to have a high level of confidence in your belief in your unique skills and talents, your credibility, if you have a lack of belief at all in your value, go and listen to episode 539 of this podcast right after listening to this. All right. The next belief is I value my time and know how to prioritize effectively. I value my time and I know how to prioritize effectively. Now, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 with that being your truth, where that is your belief? Now, for me, I am absolutely 100% 10 out of 10 affirmative on this one. I absolutely value my time, and I absolutely, beyond any shadow of a doubt, know how to prioritize effectively. I today can have a list of 25 major to-do tasks. And if I wake up in the morning and it seems like everything on my list is absolutely 100% important, urgent, needs to get done, and there's no way, given what's on my calendar today, that I will be able to do any more than 1, 2, or 3 of these items. But there's a list of 25 that meet the category of urgent and important, and it must get done. Well, I value my time, and I know that I'm able to look at that list and say, listen, what is one thing that I can do right now, whether it's on this list of 25 things or not? What is the one thing that I can do today that will make everything else that I do infinitely easier or altogether unnecessary? That answer, I have discovered, is always available to me. And I would love to tell you that I always choose that. But most of the time, I actually choose to do that. Sometimes to the neglect of all 25 urgent and important things. I know I value my time, and I know what my priorities are, and I know how much time I have, and I value margin, and I value self-care, and I'm not going to make myself into some sort of robot and slave to a task list and all these other things. I'm going to do what I believe in the moment right now is the best thing for me to focus on, because I value my time, I value my margin, I value what it is, my ability to create. This is what I'm going to do with my time today. Now, I'm a 10 out of 10 on I value my time and know how to prioritize myself, prioritize effectively. My first year in business, that first 12 months, the whole year of 2008, I would have been a 1 out of 10 on that. I did not value my time. In fact, I'm like, I've got all the time in the world, and I'd be willing to work. If there were 36 hours in a day, I'd work all 36 of them. And I did work myself around the clock many times. Sleep was just not a priority. In fact, very few things other than working all the time was what I did. It's like I prioritized work above practically everything. And the reason why I felt like I had to do that is because I had no ability to prioritize. I felt like everything was urgent and important. And in fact, I didn't even categorize things back then. And of course, some of you may be familiar with the quadrant of urgent and not important, urgent and important, not urgent. Anyway, all that stuff. Learn how, this is something that if you're scoring low on a scale of 1 to 10, that you have a firm belief, I value my time and I know how to prioritize effectively. If you score anything below an 8, 9, or 10, I encourage you to find some alignment with that. This is an area for growth. What underlying beliefs about your time and priorities do you have that are causing you to not live in alignment with I value my time and know how to prioritize effectively? All right, moving on to the next belief. I believe in providing value to my customers or clients. I believe in providing value to my customers or clients. Now, this one I've always been a 10 out of 10. There's never been a day when I did not have that as a firm belief. I am absolutely committed to providing value to my customers and clients. However, I did struggle back then with whether or not I had a belief that I was providing value to my customers and clients. There were many times when my customers and or clients were receiving tremendous value from me, but my perception of my giving value to them was limited. And it had a lot to do with what it means and my beliefs related to what does it mean to provide value to people. I see this a lot with coaches and online entrepreneurs who want to create a program. Let me give you a coach, for example. This happens a lot with coaches. Hey, here's my coaching package. It's X number of dollars. We're going to work together once a week, each week for the next 8 weeks. And by the way, you get unlimited email access to me, and you get access to this, and you get access to this, and you get access to this, and you get access to this. And essentially, you're 24/7 committed to being available around the clock for all of your clients. Now, I'm exaggerating just a little bit, but it is something that I have seen over and over again. And this right here will leave you overworked and overwhelmed. And also, your clients will be overfed with too much. And some people say, listen, I don't want access to all that. I just want this. And it's like, Cliff, if you could just give me this. I'll never forget the story. If you check out my All Beliefs Have Consequences talk over at mindsetanswerman.com/free, by the way, you will see that I had a story where somebody said, Cliff, I'll pay you $300 to help me troubleshoot this static noise on one of my telephone devices. And I said, sure. And so we got on the call a little bit early. I was able to solve the problem in 90 seconds. And then we had an entire hour scheduled, and he says, Cliff, this is amazing. Thanks. Send me the invoice. And I'm like, wait, we still have a whole hour left. And he's like, yeah, but I've got what I needed. Thank you. Send me the invoice. And I said, I can't send you the invoice. And I didn't send him the invoice because I didn't believe that I provided him value. I had a belief that my value was the hour that I was giving him. And when in fact today it's very clear to me the value that I was giving him was actually helping him achieve what he most wanted to achieve, which I was able to do in 90 seconds instead of the 1 hour, which made it even more valuable. Anyway, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? I believe in providing value to my clients or customers. In fact, I'm going to change this. Forget that, because you probably are a 10 out of 10 on that as well. So I'm going to put, I believe I am providing value. I believe I am providing value to my customers and clients. Now, I'm still a 10 out of 10 on this today. I was probably about I varied between a 4 and an 8. No, I varied between a 4 and a 10 back in the year 2008. There are many times I was a 10 out of 10. All right, the next one. I am dedicated to delivering high quality work consistently. I'm going to say that again. I am committed to delivering high quality work consistently. Now, today I am a 10 out of 10, and I would say that back in 2008, I was probably, maybe if you were to ask me back then, I might have answered about a 7 out of 10. And probably due to the fact that I believed a lot more in consistency than quality. So I may not have delivered the highest quality of work, or I may not have been devoted to incredibly high quality, although my lower standards, or I've recognized, are higher than some people's high standards. That's not me bragging. I recognize that I tend towards a pretty high standard of quality. I mean, if you had listened back in my podcast Answer Man days, just how many times did I harp on about audio quality? But when it came down to sometimes putting out content, there were a number of times that I know that I put in what's called filler content, that I was just creating something for the sake of creating something. And the quality could have been so much better. Now, this should not be confused with I'm dedicated to delivering the best work consistently. Definitely, it should not be I'm dedicated to delivering perfect quality work consistently. No, high quality is what we're talking about here. We're talking about going above the minimum. We're doing above what most people would expect. That's what I'm devoted to. I am definitely, by the way, if there's anything that has kept me from being more consistent over these past several years in the Cliff Ravenscraft show, was the fact that I was dedicated from 2020 through 2023. During those years, I was more dedicated to creating the highest level of quality of content than I was delivering high quality content consistently. And as a result of that, it became one of the top 4 business mistakes that I've made over the past 4 years. So there you go. But anyway, I do believe it's an essential core belief that you have to have some deep conviction that I am currently dedicated to delivering high quality work consistently. Those things are required. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 on that? And right now, I'm a 10 out of 10. And when it came to the last 4 years, I would have been a 10 out of 10 to current clients, and I would have been maybe a 4 out of 10 when it came to, let's just say, content creation for people who were not clients. All right, the next belief on the list. I am comfortable taking calculated risks. Now, I would say that I was probably a 7 out of 10 when I was in my first year of business. I do believe it was a calculated risk leaving my day job, leaving the family business. I also recognized that if things didn't work out, that I could go back to that business. So for me, it was a very calculated risk. It was a risk, but it was a calculated risk. There was a lot of reasons for me to believe that it was something that I could do. And I was comfortable making that decision, but not fully comfortable. I mean, there was some uneasiness about it. There was some fear. There was some anxiety. There was a lot of lack of understanding back then on my part of what it took to actually be in control of how I managed my emotional state and the way that I was focusing on things and what I was focusing on, the meaning I associated to those things. But back then, I didn't have the way of perceiving the world and understanding how the psychology of my mind and beliefs and subconscious programming works. So back then I was a 7 out of 10. Today, I'm a 10 out of 10 on taking calculated risks. And it's amazing to me how much I'm willing to risk with an incredible amount of trust that my risk will pay off. Not necessarily that it's a guarantee, because if it was a guarantee, it wouldn't be a risk. It would just be an investment that has a guaranteed return on investment. It'd be like a fixed annuity, if you know what a fixed annuity is, instead of a variable annuity. But anyway, for me, I am comfortable taking calculated risks. This isn't just uncalculated, but when it comes to calculated. Now, for you, if you're pursuing business, full-time self-employed, lifestyle, where do you rate yourself on your comfort in taking calculated risks? And if it's too low, this may be something that's causing you trouble in succeeding in your lifestyle of choice. All right, the next belief. I am prepared to handle uncertainty and change. Whew. Today, I am a 9.85 out of 10. I am prepared for uncertainty and change. I'm prepared for it. I recognize that there is no true certainty out there. And I also have come to recognize that everything's going to change. So technically, I'm a 10 out of 10 on this. I'm prepared. I can handle it. I will say this, though. I probably would have told you I was a 10 out of 10 before the pandemic. And boy, I did handle it. I made it through. And I actually made it through fairly well. But I will say that there was some significant disruption to certain areas of come on. I think there was serious disruption to everybody's lives. But I'm talking about it brought some upheaval of some things inside of me. Some things that I had succeeded at for years all of a sudden became a struggle. Things that I thought that I had mastered in my life, I began to struggle with again. Or I lost my focus and kind of lost my way in a couple of areas. Now, with that being said, it was an incredible challenge. I learned. I grew from the experience, and I think I'd probably be more able to handle such a big, massive change in the expectation of how the world works. I think I'm prepared for. I think I've grown that muscle, and I think I can handle even more today. Now, this comes, I believe, over time. I am prepared to handle uncertainty and change. I think this is a muscle that grows. The more you deal with uncertainty, the more you deal with change, and the more you're able to prepare to learn to handle the situation and not give up, to press through, to be persistent. These things, this is something that grows over time. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? Are you prepared to handle uncertainty and change? Because there's a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of change when it comes to being full-time self-employed, especially as it relates to your income, there's so much uncertainty when it comes to being full-time self-employed. So yeah, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Now, I am going to give you one more here, and then I'm going to take a break in recording this episode because I have a call scheduled in 2 minutes from now with a friend of mine. We haven't talked in many months, and I'm excited for the call. But I'm going to share with you this other one before I take a break in the recording session. I trust my instincts and decisions. Now, today, I am a full-blown 10 out of 10. And I believe a lot of that has to do with, and this language may or may not resonate with you. You may or may not be at a place where you understand this. But I trust my instincts and decisions today, 10 out of 10. And a lot of that has to do with a lot of the inner work that I've done. And I really do believe that I'm in touch with that higher self, that higher inner being, and just trusting that. I feel that I can sense a great deal of a broader perspective that's beyond what I may be able to perceive from a scientific material world perspective. I just have a lot of trust in my instincts and in the decisions that I make. And I recognize that I could make a decision that brings about things that I don't desire, but I trust that ultimately things will work out. Now, this was not the case fully. I would say I was about a 4 out of 5 out of 10, or 4 or 5 out of 10 back in 2008. I trusted my instincts and my decisions enough, but I had lots of anxiety and lots of fear. Today, I have less anxiety and less fear. Where are you on your ability, your belief that I trust my instincts and decisions? Now, with that, I am going to take a break in recording. I will be back after my Zoom call with a dear friend of mine. And I'm back. Wow, I just had the most incredible hour-long conversation with my dear friend, Lori Hammond. She and I go way back. She is a hypnotist, and you can find her at trancypants.com, I believe. Let me just find out if that's correct. Trancypants, yep, TRANCYPANTS.com. And she does some amazing work helping people navigate different ways of experiencing life. So, Laurie Hammond, thank you for that great, wonderful opportunity to connect with you at a deep level. All right, we are going to power on through the second half of this list, and I'm just going to pick up the flow here. The next belief I wanted to share with you is, I believe in setting and achieving clear goals. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 when you believe in the power of not just setting, but also achieving, and also the word clear goals? You might be shocked how many people don't believe in setting and achieving clear goals. There are a number of times when I have heard people that I'm very close to, that I love very much, that I respect very highly, say, you know what, this year I've decided I'm not setting goals. I'm doing fill in the blank, and it's something other than setting goals. I have no judgment of them, but in a way, what they're saying is that, you know what, and by the way, this is words that they're sharing. I'm paraphrasing in ways. And by the way, I'm talking about an average of probably 7 to 10 different people who have stated these things to me over the last, let's just say, 5 to 8 years. I've been hearing this a lot because at the end of every year, I set for myself a list of goals that I'm committed to achieving over the next 12 months. And I do this with mastermind groups. And so there are, and also several one-on-one clients. And so I've had lots of people share with me. It's like, you know what? I've had such an experience where I set all of these goals and I seem to lose my focus usually a couple of weeks or a couple of months in, and I don't actually look at that list again and see it until it's time to set the goals or the intentions for the next year. And then when I reflect on what I did or didn't accomplish, I completely forgot about those goals and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm going to try something different. And so for those individuals, what is their belief in the value and or the importance or the essential nature of setting and achieving clear goals? Their belief is very low. On a scale of 1 to 10, they're saying, I'm somewhere between a 1 and a 3 or a 1 and a 4 based upon what they are saying in those scenarios. Now, I'm not making any judgment of those people, and I certainly understand the heart of what they're saying. But there is something to be said for those who are very clear about what they intend to be full body committed to. Now, you don't have to have a list of 10 goals or 15 goals or 20 goals. You could have one goal that you're absolutely like, this is the one goal that is my priority in this next year. Or this is my one goal. I mean, just the question isn't how many. And this is not a podcast episode where I'm going to teach you how to achieve all of your goals. Although I do have content on all of those topics. The question is where are you in your alignment with this belief? I believe in setting and achieving clear goals. Does that help you succeed in getting what you want in your personal and professional life? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in alignment with that? Today, I am a full 10 out of 10. I'm always asking myself these days, what do I want to achieve? When it comes to my physical fitness and health, I'm back focused on that in a pretty intense way. When it comes to my self-care and my routines, I'm very intense and focused on that, and I have clear goals. When it comes to my eating patterns, I've back focused on that in a very healthy and very goal-oriented, goal-driven way. That I've come to really have a strong belief in the power of setting goals that are incredibly clear and a full body commitment to the achievement of those things. Actually seeing them as reality in my mind and having a an emotional attachment to the attainment of it well before there's any physical reality of that goal being attained. I am a 10 out of 10 today. Now, when I first started my business, I had no belief in setting and achieving clear goals. In fact, it wasn't until 2010 that I was convinced otherwise. So when I was a kid in school, they talked about New Year's resolutions, and my teacher one day said, New Year's resolutions don't work. And then at some point during the path of my traveling this world, I came across a study that said 82% of the people who set New Year's resolutions fail to stay committed to them by the second week in February. So it's very clear based upon this study that 82% of the people fail by the second week in February. That just is proof that resolutions don't work. Except for, what is the percentage of people who do? If 80%, 82% don't, well, the other percentage actually do carry on with their intentions and their full body commitments towards their very clear goals. And they do work towards and attain and achieve those goals. I think that's proof that 82% don't, the other percentage do. I think that's evidence that setting and achieving clear goals actually works. What are your beliefs about the value of goals, of setting them? What is your beliefs related to how they magnetically attract certain behavior out of your experience of life, certain actions that cause you to grow and to learn and to transform your experience of life? So that's a core essential belief. I believe in setting and achieving clear goals. How consistently, at least once a year or more, are you setting and achieving clear goals? I'll give you an example of one just real simple thing. When I'm in a place where I'm trying to lose weight and, there may be a long path to go to get from where I am to where I want to be, and let's just say, I'm at this weight. It's like, okay, well, I'm here. Well, what's 5 pounds less than this? And it's like, okay, that's my goal. My goal right now, I'm absolutely committed to getting under 5 pounds less than what I currently weigh. And that typically takes, depending on what my behaviors are and things of that nature, that can take anywhere between a week and a half to 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Okay? Then once I get there, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. It feels great. I celebrate the attainment of this. I have a new goal. What's 5 pounds less than this on my journey towards my ultimate goal? And I focus on that goal. And these are the kinds of things you could actually get really creative about setting yourself up to be attracted into some great things if you were to believe in setting and achieving clear goals. All right. The next belief, I am committed to continuous personal and professional growth. I am committed to continuous personal and professional growth. Now, what this means for me, the word continuous means ongoing, never ending, never ceasing. That's what I mean when I read. That's how I interpret continuous. It means it doesn't stop. That doesn't mean like it's all day, every day, although I've been there before. I can get very obsessed with learning and growing. For me, I'm committed to it on a daily basis. Usually never less than an hour a day is spent reading and or studying and or learning something. I've been known to devote up to 3 to 5 hours on many occasions, and sometimes there has been even more, especially when I go to a full body immersion conference event such as a Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within or something of that nature, where I'm like all day in it, deep, studying, immersed. But anyway, for me, I try to read at least a chapter or at least a couple of paragraphs out of a chapter of a book to the point where I get in and some insight is worthy of highlighting. And maybe even taking over to my journal and journaling about it. And maybe even creating a resource where I can teach that insight and what it means, either in a podcast episode or one of my group coaching programs or wherever. I am committed to continuous personal and professional growth. Now, I would expand this to personal, professional, and spiritual growth, personally for me. So where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to that belief? Are you in full alignment with a commitment to continuous personal and professional growth? And what does that look like for you? If you're not, this could be one of those indicators that, okay, if you're thinking, well, gosh, I wish I had more credibility. I wish I had more experience. I wish I had more knowledge. This is where that stuff comes from. This is like, let's grow, let's learn, let's expand. How committed are you on a scale of 1 to 10? The next one, core belief, I am willing to invest in myself and my business. I am willing to invest in myself and my business. You know, I once actually twice, I have had 2 clients who paid me a very large sum of money in exchange for a workshop that I've done. And they actually, at the beginning of the workshop, before any content was delivered, 2 different people on 2 different occasions said, Cliff, I want to thank you in advance for the value I've already received by investing in this workshop. And I'm like, tell me more. Well, it took me a very long time to make the decision to invest in this workshop. As you know about my circumstances, finances are somewhat strained right now. However, I knew that I need help in this area, and I have followed you for years. I absolutely believed in that you're going to give me some insights here. And as a result of that, I came to the decision that it makes a lot. This is a calculated risk, if you will, that this is going to be a return on investment. I am willing to invest in myself and my business pursuit, and I made the decision to invest. And I paid you X amount of money 6 weeks ago. And the last 6 weeks, I have achieved more than I had in the last 6 months when it comes to my progress and my commitment towards working towards my goals. So much so that the value and the return on all of that extra focused attention and work that I've already attained, the results that I have already attained over the last 6 weeks is worth more than my actual dollar investment in attending this workshop. So if you were to deliver nothing of value in this workshop, I've already got a positive return on investment. Because when I invested in myself financially in this way, I began to take what I'm doing more serious. I began to be more intentional. I'm working harder. I've got more skin in the game. I am willing to invest in myself. I am willing to invest in my business. Now, for me, today, I'm a 10 out of 10 on this. I've always been a 10 out of 10 on this. However, there have been a number of times, especially back in 2008, where I thought that I didn't have the resources. I'll give you a perfect example of this. In 2008, I'll never forget, there was Blog World that was happening, and there was these podcast expos that were happening, and I desperately felt the desire to go to these events, to network with all of these other people that I've been creating content with all on, that I've met through social media. We've exchanged so much. We've been on each other's podcasts, all this other stuff. And yet I didn't go because I didn't think that I could afford it. There's just not enough financial margin in my business for me to be able to go. Knowing what I know now, I recognize two things. Number one, I couldn't afford not going. And in fact, had I gone, things would have happened and a floodgate of opportunities would have shown up. I'm absolutely convinced of that. Now, do I have regret that I didn't do it? No, I think everything happens for a reason, and I wouldn't go back and change anything. But what I do know is that I could have afforded it, and I know that the return on investment would have been amazing, and I would have experienced further, faster results had I gone. Absolutely no question in my mind. But back then, I thought the problem was that I didn't have the resources. And there's another belief, by the way. It's not a lack of, this is not on the list, but this is what I'm just coming up with off the top of my head here that I've heard. It's not a lack of resources. It's only a lack of resourcefulness. So the belief would be, I am never left or dealing with the lack of resources. If I ever believe that I don't have the resources, I'm suffering from a lack of resourcefulness. That's my belief today as well. All right, moving. So by the way, where are you today on a scale of 1 to 10 in alignment with I am willing to invest in myself and my business? All right. Next belief on the list. I am capable of learning and adapting to new challenges. I am capable of learning and adapting to new challenges. One thing I can assure you in business and in life, in every area, you will experience new challenges. They're inevitable. They are going to happen. The question is, where are you on your belief of your capability of learning and adapting for each of these challenges that come your way? Now, I will tell you that some people struggle. They say to me things like, I just don't know if I've got what it takes. I don't know if I can handle another situation like this. I just don't know if I could have it in me to get back up and fight another fight like this one. I just don't. And so there's a lot of people who struggle with a belief that they're capable of learning and adapting to each of these challenges. Now, my experience has been that when you experience a challenge and you learn from it and you adapt, those challenges at a similar level of challenge are easier to deal with the next time around. And it tends to be how the let's just say the universe works, if you will, that you move on to the next level in the game of life, if you will. And the next level has a boss challenge that's a little bit more challenging than the one. But eventually, you work your way up to level 7. And if you go back to level 3, initially, you might have been working on trying to get through level 3 of this game for 3 weeks before you finally pass the test. But if you are at level 7 and you were to go back and do level 3, you might be able to do it the first time, or you might be able to do it within a couple of hours. It won't take you 3 weeks the next time to beat that same challenge. That's been my experience. So the question is, how do you feel? Does that resonate with you? Are you willing? I know that you're capable. Do you know that you're capable? On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rate yourself on the belief that I am capable of learning and adapting to each new challenge? Now, the next 3 beliefs, I believe, are very directly related to that belief that I just shared. The next one is, I embrace failure as a learning opportunity. Now, I had a friend of mine many years ago who said, I don't believe in failure. Failure doesn't exist. And what he was saying is that failure is nothing more than data, and more data allows you to create better plans and strategies for success. And so labeling it as failure, he's like, that just, in his mind, well, first of all, failure doesn't exist, but he would say something to the nature that failure is just giving up. Failure is believing it's impossible, and I don't believe anything's impossible. So, but anyway, I love that mindset. But the word failure, what does it mean? The whole idea is if you set a plan or a strategy into action and you have some expectation of results, and the results that you get are less than desirable, less than expected, you might call that failed to achieve what I had anticipated. So the question is, where do you feel that you calibrate to as far as alignment on this belief? I embrace. I hug it. I thank it for its data. I embrace failure as a learning opportunity. Failure, every failed attempt, every setback, every time you think you had something mastered, you made 4 steps forward, and then one thing happens that you never saw coming, and you're 4 steps forward and 7 steps back. Where are you on your ability to say that I embrace that as a learning opportunity? I'm a 10 out of 10 on this, and I will tell you that I've always ranked a little high on this. This is something that was taught to me early on, and it is something that I had adopted as a belief. And trust me, I've experienced a lot of failure. And I will tell you that I know a lot of my success today has to do with what I learned as I adapted to each of those challenges. All right, so that's the next one. All right, I am open to feedback and willing to adjust my approach. I am open to feedback and willing to adjust my approach. Now, for me, I'm interpreting this belief in this way. Feedback is nothing more than the results that I got from the plan that I put into place. So, for example, maybe I send an email to my mailing list with the expectation that this thing is clearly going to resonate with a percentage of my audience who are subscribed to my email newsletter. And as a result of that, this is a perfect solution to something that I know several people are dealing with. And this is at a price point that seems that there's no way that they're going to pass up this opportunity. And my expectation from this marketing email that I'm about ready to send, that it's going to land at least X number of responses. And we're talking responses equaling sales. And then only to get crickets. Open rate is about the same. Click rate is about the same. But the feedback is the results. The results are people are opening, people are reading, people are clicking, but people are not buying. Now, the question is how do you handle such a scenario? What do you do about such a situation? I'm open to feedback and willing to adjust my approach. Okay, so I take that data in. This is feedback. I'm willing to adjust my approach. Could I have adjusted how I speak about this? Could I have spoken about it a different way? Maybe it was the time of day. Maybe it was the day of the week. Maybe I can adjust all sorts of things, but I'm not just going to give up. This is a learning opportunity. What can I learn from this feedback, and how can I use what I learned to adjust how I do these things moving forward? All right. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 with that belief? I am open to feedback and willing to adjust my approach. Here's the third one that is in alignment with that. I'm capable of learning and adapting to challenges. I trust that persistence and hard work will lead to success. I trust that persistence and hard work will lead to success. Where are you on your trust and your faith that persistence? Where are you in your commitment to persisting, to keep going, to not giving up? Where are you on your ability for a season to put in a little effort, a little hard work? Where are you on your full body belief that I trust that persistence and hard work will ultimately lead to success? I added the word ultimately. I'm a 10 out of 10 on this. If I am persistent and I work at learning and adapting from failures and feedback and results, and I change and adjust my approach to each new challenge that comes my way, if I remain persistent and don't give up, I am a 10 out of 10. I believe that it will ultimately lead to success. That is a belief that I feel certain is core and essential to succeeding in business. All of those. Well, everything that I've shared so far. I only have 3 left in the list. The next one is I understand the importance of building and maintaining strong relationships. I understand the importance of building and maintaining strong relationships. For this one right here is what comes up for me is understanding that no person is an island in and of themselves. When it comes to business, we have no business if we don't have clients, if we don't have customers. And I believe that the most successful businesses are the ones where the owner of said business has strong rapport and relationships with those who are the customers and clients. Now, the level of such relationships can vary from company to company and product and service that's delivered and things of that nature. But certainly there's the relationships, maintaining strong relationships with your clients and customers. I believe in the importance of building and maintaining those. I also believe in the importance of building and maintaining strong relationships as it relates to my business with other people who are like-minded, who have a similar commitment level to the standards and values that I have. This is why I'm invested in my mastermind groups. This is why I have mentors and coaches in my life. This is why I am consistently networking with my peers and consuming their content, jumping on calls and going to their events, and they come to mine. This is building and maintaining strong relationships. I absolutely 10 out of 10. This is something that I've recognized from the beginning. In 2008, I would not have kept my business going if I did not build and have strong relationships with people who helped me see the reality of several of these beliefs that I was struggling to believe in myself at the time. Yeah. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 in your belief that you understand the importance of building and maintaining strong relationships? The next one is very similar. I believe in the power of networking and community. Now, I will tell you that for me, right here, right now, I find a little bit of dissonance with the word networking and a little bit of dissonance with the word community. I feel that from my own experience, what I would say is a little bit of a struggle is that I think that community is a little bit of a overused ploy for certain things. It's just like, it seems like everybody wants me to sign up for their circle group, their Mighty Network group, their Facebook group, their discussion forum group, their Slack group, their whatever group. Now, with that being said, it's like there's so much value in being in those. At the same time, what I have, I go back to the other core belief, and that is I value my time and I know how to prioritize it effectively. And so much involvement in so many different communities can be a distraction. And they have been for me, and I've witnessed them be a distraction for others. And so many people have this belief that I want to have as many relationships as possible, whereas I've come to this place where I believe in strong relationships, though I much rather have a much deeper level of relationship with a smaller number of people that I'm very intentional about than to seek the widest breadth of number of people that I could be connected to. Now, I understand that could be a limiting way of experiencing the world and life and business, and I understand the potential for that, and it's something that I'm saying that this is an area where I'm growing when it comes to that. Now, with that being said, I have community with several different areas of life. Spiritual community, I have professional pursuit, business community in my life. I have community even in hobbies. I've just recently taken up an interest in amateur radio and GMRS as well. And so I'm joining communities and engaging with the community in that area and learning, and I'm also helping other people learn from my experience of what I've learned. And so I enjoy community. But when it comes to my business, when I think of it, I think if I think of community as an area for me to grow and network and find clients and stuff like that, I see a lot of people going in and participating in communities for marketing purposes. And I don't necessarily judge that, but what I'm asking is that really the best method? And it's not something I've come to any conclusion on. These are things that I'm thinking about. Also, networking as well. On a scale of 1 to 10, I believe in the power of networking and community. I can tell you right now that I have a strong conviction that my answer to that question should absolutely be a 10 out of 10 today. But it's not. Networking, sometimes the word networking puts pictures in my mind of potential inefficient investment of my time, effort, and energy. And again, these are things that I'm working on. It's about how I'm actually engaging, the intention for where I'm engaging. I think about when I was in BNI, Business Networking International, as an insurance agent. Now, that networking was amazing for that business. However, going to BNI for the type of business that I have today, there's some level of a limiting belief that it wouldn't be as valuable doing the work that I do today. As I say that out loud, I'm observing the potential limit of such a way of thinking. So where do I stand on I believe in the power of networking and community? I would say I'm a full 8 out of 10, with an understanding that I need to shift in my own limiting beliefs that are blocking me, and that would bridge the gap. If I could underline and do some self-reflection, this is one area where I would like to improve my alignment with that belief. I'd like to reframe my intent and picture, and not necessarily allow myself to take some experiences of my past and then project them onto the networking and community experiences of the future. So this is an area right now where I'm sharing with you that I'm definitely in need of some inner work on. All right. And then the last belief that was on this list that I came across: I believe in maintaining a healthy work-life balance. And with this, my answer to where I am on this would determine on how you define what you think a healthy work-life balance is. And I believe that this is something like, what is success? It's different for each person. So for me, the way that I think about a healthy work-life balance, it's not working, cutting yourself off at a certain hour every day and committing to never working past these hours. That for me, work-life balance can B, I'm willing to invest and sacrifice for a short season of time when the occasion calls for it, and recognizing that I will need some margin and space for rest, relaxation, and restoration as a result of that season of sacrifice. But at the same time, I also am absolutely full body committed to self-care on an ongoing daily basis, even in seasons where I may be more heavily focused in work. I'm still not going to give up my daily meditation. I'm still not going to give up my daily workout. I'm still not going to give up my healthy eating. I'm still not going to give up my journaling, and I'm still not going to give up my reading and studying time. So those things bring to me the balance. But as far as I'm concerned, most weeks, my business allows me to do all the things I need to do. I could work 12 to 15 hours a week doing work-related action in the business kind of stuff, which would include even recording a podcast like this. However, I'm not opposed to putting in 40 and 50 and 60-hour weeks in seasons of my life, and I still would consider that to be a very healthy work/life balance, because that would only happen in certain seasons when I feel the occasion calls for it, and it would never, at this point in my life, be at the cost of meditation, journaling, reading, studying, growing, and working out and eating healthy. Those are the things that are a part of my life today. Now, I will say that that I've lost some focus in some of those areas in my journey, but I am always committed to learning and growing and adapting to the challenges, and I embrace failure as learning opportunities. I'm open to the feedback about the data of how I got there. I'm willing to change my approach, and I trust that with persistence, I will get back into it. Anyway, these are core beliefs that I believe are absolutely essential for you to succeed in entrepreneurship. So when we say that success in any area of life, and especially business, is what we're focused on here, is 20%, maybe it's 30, I don't know, but 20%, let's just say, of knowing the right strategy, or not, get rid of that, knowing a strategy, knowing a framework, knowing a plan, knowing, a business model. 20% is knowing what to do. 80% is your mindset. It's your belief system. Where are you on these list of beliefs? Now, what I'm going to do in the show notes is I am going to list each and every belief that I went through in here. And feel free to go into the show notes and copy that, paste it, whatever you want to do with it, and do some self-reflection. Where are you on each of these beliefs? By the way, if you would like to engage with me in helping you transform and transmute away from some limiting beliefs that might be blocking you from making these full body aligned beliefs in your experience, I am available for coaching. I do have a life/work audit session that's only $500. It is no commitment to anything else beyond that one session. What would happen is I would have you fill out a questionnaire. We'd find out where you are, what you're dealing with, what your aspirations are, what it is that you're looking to achieve. And then after I get that questionnaire from you, we will have a 90-minute one-on-one helping to dive deep into exactly what it is that you most need to help you move beyond what's currently blocking you from experiencing whatever you feel that is what you want to experience next in life, whatever's keeping you from taking that next step, anything that's going on. It's a life/work audit session. Now, if you would like to sign up for this one-off $500 investment in yourself and your business, all you need to do is email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com, and put audit session in the subject line. Until next time, my friend, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.